Hey there, I'm Johari and I'm here to teach you about how to record a back-to-back set in VR. Now, of course, the first step to recording a back-to-back set is having another DJ to perform with. Conveniently, here's one now. I'm using Scaly Bloke as an example for this tutorial.
What the fuck is this place?
Now, it's a big assumption, though, that you actually need to be in person.
Sorry.
But some people don't have that luxury to record it in person.
Johari.
But thankfully, you don't need to.
Wait,
because you can record it online.
Now, while Scaly Bloke goes to work on his part of the DJ set, some of you might actually be asking, what exactly is a back-to-back DJ set? Essentially, it is two or more DJs working on a mix together. This means that they're working in tandem to create a DJ mix together, where one DJ will select tracks from their library and then move to the next DJ. They may just pick a couple of songs, or they may even go for 10, 15, 20 minutes each to create the set. Doing a back-to-back like this as well incorporates the styles of both DJs and creates a completely different experience for the audience compared to if the DJ was to do a set by themselves. Not only that, it's also a good opportunity to increase your skills as a DJ, especially when you start to think about energy management and track selection when you're mixing out from the other DJ with songs that you may not necessarily be familiar with. Either way though, this is an exciting process, and this is creating something that's completely unique to both yourself and the people that you're working with. So I do hope you have fun with this, and let's have a look, because Scaly appears to have finished his part of the mix. Now, as he was going first, he's recorded his part of the mix for me. Now, he sent me over 3 files, and the first file here is his mix. And if we go into a free program called Audacity, which you can download on Windows, Mac, or even Linux, we can actually look at the mix in that software. So let's bring this over to Audacity and open it up. Now, while Scaly Bloke has given me a 13-minute part to work with here, you can record it at whatever length you like, as long as you agree with the other DJ for it. So it can be 15-minute parts each, 10-minute parts each, even 5-minute parts each, or if you really want to go crazy, you could do it each track. But for the most part, as long as you both have an even amount of time to total how long the DJ set is, if, for example, an hour-long set, you'd be both doing 2 15-minute parts each. Now, Scaly's given me a good length of this final track here to work with, which is important because you want to play out the last track for your part to the end, so that allows us to not only have a good place to transition where we want, but also find a good place for us to actually cut the audio. So let's preview what he's given us here. So as you can see, this is pretty good to work with, because there's not only the bridge, there's also the drop, there's also the ending there. So we can pick where we want to transition pretty comfortably, and we've also got some nice parts where we can then cut our end of the audio as well. And because he's given us the individual track here, this is perfect, because we can now play the individual track in our software and work from there. Now, with the files that Scaly Bloke has sent over, he's also sent over some notes here. So if we have a read through it, you can see that he's not only given us the BPM that he's played the track at, but he's also given us the key of the track, because both of those can be different from the actual track itself. For example, when I'm doing a mix, I might be mixing faster than the actual track, and I may have shifted the key. So it's important to note those details down as well when you give it to the person. And if you can give them the individual track, then they can work straight from that and then adjust the key as well as the tempo to match what it was in your mix. Now, when it comes to key as well, it can look different depending on the DJ software that you use. For example, he's told me that it's in C minor, so for Traktor, this would be 10M. However, on Pioneer, it may look like 5A, for example. So this is something that is good to have a look at, and I've included a link to this Camelot wheel as well for reference over in this video. So if you need to ever refer to this, feel free to use this as well. Now, we'll go into Traktor, which is my DJ software of choice, and we'll load the track that Scaly has provided into it. As you can see, it's thankfully defaulted straight to 121 BPM, as well as it's already at the 10M key, which was the C minor. So we don't have to make too many adjustments here, at least on our end for this one. However, if it is different, you may need to adjust the tempo or the key so it's suitable for when you want to do the cut in the audio file. So now that we have all the information we need, we can actually record our parts of this back-to-back. So let's do that now using that correct key and tempo. And then what we'll do is we'll record this out and then we'll see you shortly over in Audacity. Now that we've recorded our section and our part of the mix, what we can do is we can go over to our recording and bring that over into Audacity. Now, we can actually drag this around as well in Audacity, and we can even zoom in. This will allow us to see the waveform better. Now, in this example, I'm using 2 mono files. However, it will look different for you because you'll likely have 2 stereo files that you're working with. This is important because it's, of course, going to add depth to the recording. But the goal is going to be the same because we're going to be looking to match up these waveforms to their correct positions. And then we're going to use that to kind of transition from Scaly Bloke's mix to my mix. Now we can see we've nearly lined these up perfectly. We'll zoom in a little bit more so we can line up the files. They aren't going to look exactly the same because depending on recording quality and how varied it can be, the waveform will look different, but it should look mostly the same. And that's our goal, is to get it to line up at least on the correct points there. Now, the next part here is that we're going to have to look for the point to do the cut in the audio. Now, when I did my recording, I didn't give myself much buffer. You'll want to actually record usually from the start of the track, so that way you can kind of pick maybe a quiet point or directly close to a drop to kind of mask your cut. But we'll, for this example, we'll pick this location here to make my cut because this is going to be pretty lined up. And to make the cut, you don't want to use the delete key because that'll actually delete without making a slice for us to use. Instead, on Windows, you want to press Control-Alt-K, which actually just removes the section but gives us a nice little section that we can work with. From here, we're going to extend the audio from the first mix, not drag, but extend, so that it meets our cut. And then what we can do is delete the second part of the mix that we're not going to use, and then drag our second mix back up. From there, we can delete the audio that we're no longer using from the second mix, and we can actually join these 2 pieces of audio together by clicking on the lower half of that join to merge them together. Let's undo that join now while we're working with it and press Ctrl Z and we'll test out the audio. I'm pretty happy with how seamless that join is. However, this may not always be the case. There may need to be some volume adjustments. So I think this needs a little bit of a bump in gain. So we'll make that adjustment on the second half here, just by amplifying it a little bit. And because each person's recording setup is going to be different, it may not be perfect, but we can always try to add different effects or make small adjustments to try and get it as close as possible. But as we rejoin these files together, let's give a listen to how our spliced together mix sounds. And there you have it. You've just joined together two parts of a mix that have been recorded by two different people. From there, you can create a whole hour-long mix, and you can go crazy with recording a back-to-back with someone. Just make sure you're talking about what sections that you're recording or how long that you're recording for, and come to an agreement. When you're recording those sections, it may go on a little bit longer so you can get that length, but they may also be able to use different parts to transition from your part. Then make sure that you're providing them your copy of the mix. Make sure you're providing the tempo, the key, and where possible providing the track as well, so they have a starting point to mix from. Following that advice, this is essentially a easy way to create a back-to-back set online. So I wish you luck and happy mixing.